Salutations, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Evan, and in today's video, I want to talk about EA sports games. And this is kind of indicative of all sports games in general, but we're really going to be talking about EA sports games today, just to help explain to you what's really wrong with the sports video games industry, because there's a lot of stuff that is just terrible, and I'm here to talk about it. So, first off, the first thing I want to say is just more of a general thing, and then I'll get into more specific things about the specific EA Sports titles and their different sports series. So, to begin, like all sports games, release every single year. And stop and ask yourself, why is that? Why does a sports game need to release every single year? Do you know the answer? There isn't really an answer. The publishers will try to tell you that it's because, we need to update the rosters. But did you hear the word they said? Update. You know what we can do with modern technology and the internet and how consoles work nowadays? You can release updates. Once the game is out on store shelves, that's not the end of the game. Like, you can still make changes to it. It's not a finished product. You can make whatever kind of changes you want through the power of updates. Updates don't cost extra money from the player inherently, but they do when it comes to sports games, apparently, right? You see what I'm saying here? Like, if I get the latest update to, let's say, Call of Duty or something, that doesn't cost me any money. It's a free update, and it should be a free update for the roster. You shouldn't have to pay $70 every single year just to get the latest players in the game, right? That doesn't make sense. And I mean, it kind of made sense when sports games first came out. I think they happened in the 80s, but when they really started to take off in the 90s, and they started like releasing them every single year, like Madden, I believe, was in the 90s, and I know NHL definitely was. They didn't have updates then. They didn't really have consoles that connected to the internet, so it made sense then to have to release the game every year to get the latest rosters. So that made sense. But once the power of updates came around and you could update a game later on to fix bugs and issues with it, there's no longer any reason for them to release the game every single year, because you can just release an update if you really want to update the rosters so badly. So nowadays, when they release the game every single year, full price $70. If you bought the game last year, you don't get any discount. You got to buy the game all over again, and you got to start all over again, your career mode and everything like that, and your ultimate team, whatever the online mode for it is, the pay to win mode, whichever sports game it's in. You got to start everything all over from the bottom, work your way up, and you got to do it every single year. There's no reason for that, and I know it's been normalized, but I'm just saying it shouldn't be normalized. We shouldn't allow them to do this, because it's not providing a better experience for us players. Doing sports games this ways, it just provides more money for the companies, and also them having to do less work. What I'm proposing is sports games should release every few years, like an Uncharted game, right? Or pretty much any other like game franchise, besides Call of Duty, I guess. Most game series, they release the game every single few years, like the Tomb Raider games. Let's use that for an example. Or I don't know, I guess you could call From Software's games a series, maybe their Dark Souls stuff and Elden Ring stuff like that. They don't come out yearly. They come out every few years when they're ready to come out, or like the Horizon games, stuff like that. You see what I'm talking about, right? Or Zelda games or Mario games. They don't need to come out every single year. Let them make the game good, take the time they need, and release it when it's ready, right? That's not the case with sports games. A lot of times they come out way before they're ready, especially EA's. They are always so buggy when they come out. The games would be so much better if they released every few years, and then they could spend the time, put a whole bunch of new content in the game, and fix stuff, and make the game like feel new again when you actually buy it, instead of having the game come out every single year and it's basically the same game you had before, but just roster update, right? I don't want to pay $70 for a roster update. I want a whole new game for $70. I expect $70 worth of changes, not a roster update, which should be free. And so I'm saying they release the game every few years, and in between those years where they're not releasing the game, do the roster updates the way they should be done, as a free update for players. Okay, you don't need to charge $70 for an update for rosters. Okay, every few years, release the game, and in between, just update the rosters. Okay, that would make sports games so much better. Instead of the developers having to make the same game every single year, and if they actually want to make a big change to the game, they're not going to have the time to do it probably, right? And I feel like EA probably they probably don't let their developers make any changes anyways, right? So, I mean, except for the college football Madden that came, or it's not Madden, EA college football that came out this year. You know why that was good? It wasn't just because it was the first college football game in a long time. It was because they actually put in the work to make significant changes to the Madden game and turn it into a new experience that felt fresh and exciting and fun again. And that's why it's selling super well. And then you go and play Madden, and it sucks in comparison because they don't try with Madden. Madden sucks, and I'll go into great details as to why very shortly. And then what ended up being Madden 25 this year after college football came out, the Madden team basically just took everything the college football team did and then just slowed it down and made it worse to fit it into Madden because they want to make Madden sucky, right? So it's just terrible. But, at least the college football game, it's decent. It's like a 6 out of 10. Maybe you could argue it's a 7 out of 10, but if they keep working on it and keep putting effort, it could be a 10 out of 10 game. Though I don't know what EA's plans are with college football. Don't have your hopes up if you're a college football fan. It very well could only get worse from here. So we may have already peaked. So there's that. And then the bigger thing I'm going to get into here and explain more in depth here as to why is that EA doesn't really have to try, and the sports game publishers don't have to try because there's not really competition. Like EA, they own all the football games and the NHL games, and then I think FIFA, they make FIFA as well, so they dominate with that. And then 2K, they have their basketball games going, and they're like the only basketball game maker now. So monopolies over different like sports games have cropped up in the past 20 years in the sports video game industry, where it's kind of like only one developer and publisher making a sports video game for their type of sport. You see what I'm talking about here? And so let me get into why EA is the only developer to make the NFL games, because that's not the way it used to be. When football games started, anybody could make an NFL game. You had to contact the NFL, of course, and get the rights. But once they gave you the rights and said, go ahead, make your game, you could make the NFL game, and anyone can make an NFL game. As long as you talk to NFL first, which is fine. That makes sense, right? And then EA came along, and they got the exclusive license. They are currently the only people allowed to make NFL games, and they're called like simulation type games. But if you've played the Madden games, they're so unrealistic. They play nothing like real football. The AI is so stupid. It's not made around realistic simulation. It's made around the Ultimate Team mode. It's made around competitive play and playing online and stuff like that. That's what the game is designed around. It's not supposed to be a super realistic football authentic experience. Yet they have the exclusive license for making simulation style NFL games. So there's that. And let me tell you the story about why they got this license. If you're any kind of football video game enthusiast, you probably know the story. But if you're not, let me just fill you in here. So there used to be different companies making NFL games. 2K was one of them. Yes, 2K, they make the basketball games now. Everyone knows that. They used to make football games, and they would compete with EA. And in 2004, ESPN NFL 2K5 came out, and that is a bit of the name's not that good, right? So, ESPN NFL 2K5 is a bit confusing. But that game came out, and it was priced at $20, which was way less than what the EA Madden game was that year, Madden 05, which I believe was for $50, right? So that's over 50% less than what the Madden game was. So, naturally, people are going to see the 2K5 game on the shelves next to the Madden game and see it's the Madden game is almost twice as much, or is more than twice as much, and they're going to look at the 2K5 one and probably pick the 2K5 one, right? So by the price alone, 2K5 Blue was super competitive against Madden that year. And it wasn't just the price. The game was super good. To this day, 2K5 is probably the best football game ever released. Period. And it was on the PS2. And I'm not just saying, like, it was really good at the time and we've never had a football game that's come out as good at the time as 2K5 did. I'm saying 2K5 still blows all like Madden 25 out of the water, and Madden 25 too. Let's be specific, because Madden 25 came out in 2015, I believe, and there's something stupid like that. And then 25 this year. So there's actually 2 Madden games called Madden 25, I believe. But Madden 25 this year gets blown out of the water by 2K5 from like 20 years ago. Football games have only regressed since 2K5 came out. And here is why. Because after 2K5 came out, EA got all hissy-pissy that they had some competition, and they went crying to the NFL, and the NFL was like, no, don't cry, we'll give you a good deal, we'll fix this problem. And they fixed the problem all right. Here's what they did. NFL negotiated with EA to give EA the exclusive license that I talked about earlier, allowing them to be the only developer and publisher to make NFL simulation style games. And so that's why after 2K5 came out, that was 2K's last NFL game, because they legally were not allowed to make NFL games anymore at all. So EA did not earn the right to be the only NFL game maker. They bought the right. They paid their way to the top, essentially guaranteeing them like guaranteed money, because as the only NFL game maker, even if the games suck, people are still going to see NFL. They're still going to see like their favorite athletes on the covers. They're still going to buy the game regardless. It is guaranteed money for EA as long as they make the NFL games. And this has been proven over the past 20 years since this deal was made. The games are not good, yet they sell well anyways. And you can't really blame people too much, because it is the only NFL game. They have no other option. And I'll get into my experience shortly with EA Sports games, but that is the story. That's why EA is the only people making NFL games. And that license, there wasn't like an infinite license. They keep renewing it like every 5 years, something like that. And currently, I think it's still up for negotiation right now. They renewed it in 2020, and now NFL's looking at whether they want to renew it again. I think they probably will, which I think is a terrible decision, because the NFL games just get worse and worse. It makes the NFL brand and just NFL as a whole look crappy when their games are crappy, and more people have seen that the games are crappy. But I don't think NFL is going to see it that way. I think EA is going to smooth talk them, and I think the deal will probably get renewed. Hopefully it doesn't, but that's what I think what's going to happen. So yes, EA has that exclusive license, and now imagine 2004 and you're playing 2K5 or even Madden 05, and you're like, man, this football game is great. I wonder what football games are going to look like 20 years later or 30 years later. What are they going to look like? They're probably going to be amazing, right? They're only going to get better from here. Nope. The football games peaked on the PS2, and especially like 2004. There were over 200 features, I believe, in the Madden franchise that got removed. They got removed like a decade ago that were from the PS2 games. There were so many features that the PS2 games have that modern Madden does not have. Modern Madden does not have at all. They are lacking so much compared to what the PS2 games used to be, in terms of everything, in terms of the gameplay, the simulation, and the realism and the authenticness, and just the overall experience, just everything about it. The features just completely nerfed to the ground. It's a shell of what it used to be. And but a lot of people who played there's less and less people on this earth that have played the 2004 games compared to all the new kids who are playing the modern games. They don't know what football games used to be and can be like when football developers actually try, and when there are multiple football developers, not just one monopolizing the scene. So I hope I'm not making this too long here, but I really just want to sink that point in, that football games could be so much better, but they suck. And it is because of EA, and it is because of money ultimately. And I'm not a football game player, but I enjoy hockey. Hockey is my favorite sport of choice, and the first video I did on this channel was me explaining why, and I'll link to that right there. You click that button, watch that video talking about why NHL or hockey is the best sport to watch. And so naturally, I want to play the hockey video games, right? Because I like video games, I like hockey. Let's put them together. Boom. And I've played hockey video games. The first video game I ever played, I kid you not, was NHL 10. and I was 4 years old at the time, which for a 4-year-old, that's a pretty complex game to play, right? And of course, I wasn't good at all, but my dad was helping me. He teaching me how to play a video game, starting with NHL 10, and that's my first video game, and that was my first hockey video game, first EA Sports video game. And then after that, I don't know if we might have had 11, but we definitely had 14, and I played NHL 14 a lot. And then we got 16, and then we got, I think we got 17, and then 19, 20, 2021, 2022, I think we have 2024. And so I know what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to the NHL games. And they are not good. And after NHL 20, I didn't want to buy them anymore because I was like, these games suck. But I had a little brother at the time, and he is a perfect showcase of why these games are still being bought. Because when NHL 2021 was coming out, my favorite sports team is the Caps. You've seen me wearing Cap shirts and hoodies on here before. And they had Alex Ovechkin of the Capitals on the cover. And so like my dad and my little brother were like, oh, well, we got to buy this game, right? They got Ovechkin on the cover. That's our team. That's our guy, right? And I was like, guys, don't fall for the marketing. Don't fall for the branding. The game's going to suck. We have NHL 20. You already have this game. It's literally the exact same game, just with a different cover. And now you got to pay $70 again. I told him, don't buy it. But my dad bought it for my little brother for Christmas anyways. And that's why the games sell. Because for NHL, and this applies to Madden 2, EA is the only one making them. So if all the little kids out there, 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, whatever, they see the new sports going to be like, new Madden game? New NHL game? Or new 2K? Oh, I got to buy that. They don't stop to think, what is new in this game? What makes it worth buying again compared to the sports game I already have now? What did they change? What did they fix? What's new about it? No, they just see new game, new Madden, whatever, gotta buy it, gotta have it. And it's the same thing for Call of Duty. I made multiple Call of Duty videos, I think, actually. So that's why the games sell. And again, you can't really blame people because they're the only sports games out there, right? All you have is, FIFA I think has competition, but you only have Madden, only have 2K, only have NHL, right? You can't really blame them too much. And it is really tempting for me too, because I want to keep trying to keep giving the games a try, but I have given them so many tries and they keep failing every single time I play them. Every single time I play them, I regret it. I'm like, I should just be playing something else. This game sucks. It's a piece of trash, right? Throw it away. I don't want to play it ever again. But it is still tempting to turn on NHL 2024, which I haven't played because I've been abstaining, but it is always there looming because my brother bought it. I told him not to, but he bought it anyways. And it's there on the shelf. And I'm like, I do like hockey and I do like video games. I do want to play it, but ultimately, no, I hold back because the hockey minigame in Mario Party Superstars, I believe that's what it's called, on Nintendo Switch, is more fun than any EA Sports NHL game I've ever played. It's just a very short, quick minigame. There's nothing to it, but man, I've played it for literally hours, tens of hours. It is so much fun compared to this modern NHL sports games, because they focus on gameplay first and not crap like Ultimate Team or whatever it's called in the NHL games, and pay to win stuff and ruining the gameplay for the sake of making competitive online play more monetizable. And they made a good game first, Nintendo did, when they made the hockey minigame in Mario Party. I think it first came out in Mario Party 5. Okay, that's what I'm saying here. The minigame, hockey minigame in Mario Party should not be more fun than the actual real NHL hockey game, right? See what I'm saying here? So that is why the games sell well, and they will probably continue to sell well despite getting bad reviews. Now, if you look at Metacritic for these games, their critic reviews are not too bad, but the user scores are always terrible. They're 3s, 2s, 1s, especially with Madden. Madden people seem to be the most fed up. But the critics, they don't normally pan it too much, and that's because the critics are stupid. I stopped watching IGN and GameSpot reviews years ago. What really did it for me was Battlefield 2042, and I saw how terrible that game was. EA totally botched it, and I could make a whole video talking about why. I think that is the biggest game Like, biggest game letdown ever, biggest botched game ever. More than Cyberpunk 2077. People love to hate on Cyberpunk. At least that game was trying to do something new, right? Battlefield 2042 was just trying to be a sequel to Battlefield 4 from 2013. And EA blew it because EA doesn't know how to make a game anymore. So, I could make a whole video talking about that. But IGN gave the game a 7. And I'm like, how do you give the game a 7? When the only thing that worked in the beta was the guns. Everything was out, everything else was broken. And then when the game comes out, the guns are broken too. The guns don't even shoot straight. In the first person shooter, $70. And there's no campaign. It's only online. How do you give that a 7? And they did. And then GameSpot, their review came out like a week later. And I was like, okay, maybe they're actually going to give it a good review. Good. Give themselves time to play the game. Give it a fair shot and give it an accurate review. Nope. They waited a week just to give it a 7 as well. What are we doing here, right? So that's why I don't listen to critic reviews anymore. But so that's why you'll see sports games, they constantly get like 6s and 7s from people like IGN and GameStop. And there's a cycle, which is where the sports game, especially EA, will remove features, take out features, bring them back a few years later, but in a crappier state, and then get called a step in the right direction by like IGN and GameSpot. And you're like, a step in the right direction to where? What we had like 20 years ago on the PS2? Exactly. The games they're constantly chasing what they had on the PS2, but they're never going to get there. They only get farther and farther away as each year passes, because each game comes out and it takes like 1 step forward and like 5 steps back. So that is the cycle. I'm sure you've probably noticed it. Take stuff away, remove features, add them back a few years later, but in a crappier state. And then the critics say, good job, this is a step in the right direction. How many years have we had to deal with a step in the right direction? Why can't we ever just get there, you know? Why are we only taking baby steps and then running backwards a mile? Why can't we just actually get there? Nope, we are never going to get to that destination. We're never going to get to that promised land because they don't want to put in effort. They don't want to put in time. Think about it. They're making money anyways. They're printing money, whether it be EA and only like football and NHL game makers, or 2K and only like NBA game makers, right? Or MLB The Show, only baseball game makers. They don't need to make the game good because people are going to buy anyways because they really have no choice. So that is kind of the whole situation with sports games right now. So like I said, I wish we need multiple developers working on a single sports type. We need multiple hockey games from different devs. We need multiple like NFL games from different devs because competition is good, right? As I showed you with when 2K made the NFL game along with EA making an NFL game, one was clearly better than the other, and ultimately the consumers won. The consumers benefited from it. They got a cheaper game for better compared to EA's Madden 05. The players won there, and ever since then we've been losing because we gave bad games because no competition. Competition is only good. And another example, I've been talking about first-person shooters in Call of Duty and Halo and Battlefield. When they were all good and they were competing against each other, that's why they were good. They had competition. And now Battlefield sucks, Halo sucks, Call of Duty doesn't really have any competition, so it can do whatever it wants, and that's why Call of Duty sucks. And that's why I made a whole video talking about Call of Duty. It was over an hour long. I'll link to it here if I remember to put in the card there. So that's competition is only good. Even if you still enjoy your 2K game or your Madden game or your NHL game, even if you still have a good time, you should still want competition because it'll only make the games better for you. Even better than what you think they are right now. So we need competition, but the problem is it doesn't seem we're going to get that. And like I said, NFL is probably going to renew the deal with EA probably for like the 4th or 5th time already. And I don't know how long they're going to renew this deal. It's just a deal for infinity. I don't know, but that's what's happening. So, but what's the solution? I would say we need to just spread the word about how these games are in an unacceptable state. And I mean it, like, especially like Madden 25 comes out, like this year's Madden, and there's so many bugs, so many glitches. The same can be said about the EA NHL 25. I don't think is out yet. Is it? I don't even care. NHL 24, and it's so buggy, it's so glitchy. They just take away features. The game sucks. It's a terrible experience. And so we need to get the word out. Don't buy the games, okay? There's way better other games out there. You know how many games you can get for $70? You can buy so many different games for the combined price of $70 instead of just buying one crappy game for $70. So, especially if you play on PC where you can literally get games for $1 buying game keys online. Like go to gg.deals. They give you every single key shop site and all in one site so you can see the best price possible and get games for like $1 on Steam. That's how I do it. There's like no downsides to it. It's fantastic. So if you're a PC player, you can get so much games for $70. Oh my God. But even if you're on console too, go to GameStop or whatever, see what games they have like pre-owned or whatever, games on sale. You can get so much stuff for $70. Okay. And instead of just buying one crappy game for $70. But so just if you enjoy Madden or NHL, whatever, even if you enjoy them, ask yourself 3 things here, okay? Number 1, what's new in this year's game, okay? If I have NHL 24, for example, and an NHL 25 is coming out, I need to ask myself, what is new in this new sports game? What did they add? Why should I pay $70 for it? And that's number 2. Is it really worth another $70? So what's new in it, and is it worth $70, okay? 3, tell yourself there are better games out there. Remind yourself there are better games out there. You don't have to buy every single sports game every single year and make that all you play. You don't have to. Look at what other games are out there, okay? And if you are going to buy the sports title, at least wait a few years in between titles, because that is more understandable. Because if you wait a few years in between titles, you're not going to miss anything, okay? Nothing really changes, okay? You probably already have the best sports game of that series you're going to get. Because like I said, the games only seem to get worse every single year. So you're going to save a lot of money in between titles that you can use to spend on other games and get so much better time gaming instead of having it, just either a mediocre experience or a bad experience provided to you by these sports games. So 1, what's new in it? 2, is it worth $70? 3, look around and acknowledge that there are better games out there, because developers that actually want to try and make a good product that earns your hard-earned money, okay? You don't have to it's not mandatory for you to spend $70 on this sports game every single year, okay? You have the choice. It's not like you're like financially, legally obligated to do it, okay? Because people have this feeling with like Call of Duty and sports games, they don't see what's new in it. They just see new Call of Duty, new Madden, here's my $70. Like they're not even earning your $70, right? And EA especially with they paid their way to the top with their Madden series. So you understand what I'm saying here? All of this is to say, sports games are in a bad scene right now, and we need to start taking some steps to get us out of this hole that we have been put in, but we've also been manipulated into digging the hole ourselves. And I used to want to buy the NHL games every single year, not even know what's new in them, right? But luckily, I feel like I woke up, and I'm just asking you to stop and think about other things you could do for your $70 before you go and blow on the next sports game. You don't even know what's in the game that you're paying $70 for. You don't even know what they did. You're just like, oh, new NHL, gotta buy it, gotta have it. No, you don't. You don't have to, okay? So hopefully you understand my point here. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm trying to be honest, because if you're someone who buys sports games every single year, I used to be like you, okay? I'm just saying my experience and what I feel now from what I've learned. So that is my opinion, and it is an opinion that luckily I have seen grown across the internet. More and more people talking about how these sports games are bad. Just go on Metacritic to any sports game, whether it be 2K or NHL or Madden or FIFA or whatever. The critic reviews may be decent, but the user score reviews are terrible. And these are not just review bombers. I mean, there are going to be a few stupid reviews in there where people clearly didn't try, but you'll find many reviews where they write in length paragraphs about why this game is bad and why you should not buy it and why the publisher should be ashamed of publishing that game. So please just educate yourself, do a little bit looking around for better games to play, and also look into seeing of like why the games suck, because I can tell you it's all there. Go to like, if you don't know why the NHL games suck, for example, just go to NHL subreddit or just look online. There's YouTube videos about it. You can just watch it while you're eating a bag of Takis or whatever. They're going to explain to you everything, why these games are bad. And you'll probably be like, yeah, I did experience that. I know what they're talking about. Yeah. Why do we accept this for the way it is? This sucks. Like, we shouldn't put up with this. So that's what I'm trying to say here in this video. I think I made my point clear. I'm probably gone for too long, but I really just want to hammer it home. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, sticking to the end. I appreciate it a lot. Let me know what you think about sports games and any specific sports games you're talking about, and you want to talk about specifically like Madden or NHLB or whatever. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. And I'm Evan, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.